So, in our last video, we discussed the cost to the retailer. This is the price that we're going to be selling our products to the retailer in order for the retailer to in turn sell it to the consumer, which is our end buyer. Now we're going to go one step further and we're going to calculate our distributor costing. Now, what is the distributor costing? Well, eventually, as you expand your business, you may end up needing a distributor. So if you're currently selling local, as in within your state or province, you may have the ability to deliver to all the retailers by yourself. But when you get big enough and you have to now deliver to out of state customers or out of country customers, even, you will end up eventually needing a distributor. So the distributor, in order to deliver your products to the retailers, is going to need a margin as well. Now, we need to build this cost into our final costing strategy for the following reasons. One, although you may not need one right now, you will eventually need one in the future. So if you don't plan for the cost right now, you're going to run into a situation where when the time comes that you do need a distributor, you won't be able to afford one because you weren't able to build it into your costs. So if your costs or your costing strategy only includes your cost of production and then selling directly to the retailer, and your profit margins are based on those two numbers, then you won't be able to add in a distributor because there's no margin left for them. And the second reason is if you do add the strategy or a costing price for a distributor and you don't end up needing one, so you can deliver yourself or you ship the products directly to the retailer's warehouse. So in both these situations, you won't need a distributor. In both these scenarios, you will just end up making more of a profit, which is better for you. So if you've allocated a certain percentage of profit for the distributor, baked it into your costing strategy, and now you don't need one, well, that extra profit just remains with you. So it's a bonus on both ends. We're going to have to calculate our distributor costing strategy in order to have a fully functioning plan moving forward into the future. Let's get started. Okay, so this strategy is going to be, or the way we calculate this is basically going to be the same as how we calculated the cost for the retailer. So let's just get started here. Cost to the distributor. Cost to the distributor. So this is going to be the price that the distributor pays to buy your product from you. So just like we did previously when we calculated our cost to the retailer, we're going to do the same for this. So our starting value is going to be our cost to the retailer. And we calculated this in the previous video. If you're just clicking this video now, this is kind of in the middle of the video series. This is the third video of the three-part video series. Go back to part 1 and then watch part 2 and then watch part 3. We're going to have a part 4 as well, which is going to be our basically production costs. So cost to the retailer. Let's make this a little bit smaller. Our cost to the retailer we calculated was $6. So for a distributor, generally speaking, the distributor takes a margin of between 20 to 30%. And just like the cost to the retailer, where we said grocery margins typically from 30 to 40%, we're going to use the higher number for our calculations. And this is because, again, if you make a deal with the distributor and they're looking for 30%, you're better prepared because you've already put that costing into your strategy. But if they only require 25% or 20%, again, the extra profit remains with you. So we always want to calculate in the worst case scenario and then move backwards from there. And in the case that we can keep back some of the profits, we do. We don't want to calculate it at a 20% and then have the distributor require a 25%, in which case now 5% is coming out of our pocket. Or it's always coming out of our pocket. It's going to be 5% that hasn't been accounted for. So in order to calculate this 30%, we're going to do $6 multiplied by 0.3, which is going to give us $1.80. So this is going to be the distributor profit. Distributor profit is going to be in a dollar value. Basically what this means is the distributor is going to keep $1.80 out of this $6. So when the distributor sells your 150 gram bag of beef jerky to the retailer for $6, the distributor will keep $1.8 or $1.80 from that $6. So now we need to calculate what the costs are for the distributor, or how much the distributor needs to buy your product for in order so that they can pocket $1.80. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to start again. Cost to the retailer, which was $6. And we're going to subtract the $1.80, which was the profit, the distributor profit. This is going to give us $4.20. This is going to be the distributor cost. Perfect. Okay, so this is going to be the distributor cost. Basically, what this means is you will be selling your product, 1 unit of beef jerky, to the distributor for $4.20, and the distributor will now sell that bag of beef jerky to the retailer for $6, and in the process they will profit $1.80, or 30% of the $6. Now this is very important. You need to calculate this, as I said earlier on in the video, so that you're better prepared for future expansion. If you do not calculate the cost of the distributor when you're first starting out, or at least have an understanding of where you're going to have to give to the distributor when you're first starting out, you're going to run into the problem of you're not going to be able to expand. So if you need about 30 to 40% profit in order to sustain your business, and now you want to expand, and now you're going to need a distributor, now you won't be able to afford one, because if you have to give the distributor 30% of that, well, you're going to be left with almost no profit for yourself. So you need to calculate these costs ahead of time and be better prepared for the future, so that you know what's going to be coming to you when you do decide to expand your product. Now we've calculated, or we've figured out what the cost to the consumer is in the first video, the cost to the retailer is in the second video, and we figured out the cost to the distributor in our third video. The last and final video, which is going to be our fourth video, we're going to be calculating our costs of production. So what is this product going to cost us to make? And the cost of production is going to be based on the cost of the distributor. And if you've noticed by now, all these calculations are based on the previous number. So the cost of the distributor, cost to the distributor is based on the cost of the retailer, and the cost of the retailer is based on the cost of the consumer. So click the link and let's go to the next video, and we'll calculate the the production cost of your product. See you there.